Welcome to GrayPrimer. My name is Nick. I'm your host, and this is day one of our tank weekend. We're kicking it off with Shieldwolf's Pillars of Faith. So I have a grand plan for this channel, and I have a schedule that takes me right through to, I think, October of the videos I plan to do, where I'm up to with each of them, what steps I need to take, all of that stuff. It just means that I can strategize out my filming and purchasing and, everything else. And I had planned for a 4-day tank weekend quite some time ago. And unfortunately, it just kept getting pushed further and further into the year. And really that was to do with the availability of the 4 tanks that I needed. There was a huge amount of demand. There were delays in postage because of COVID-19. And really, I was okay with that. It would happen when it happens. So it's finally happening. It's great to get it started. The last bits of armor I was waiting for were from Shieldwolf in Greece. A fantastic company, great website, great range of stuff on there as well. Well worth checking out. And here is the first part of that. So day one is this one, the Pillars of Faith. It's going to be the main tank for my Dominion squad for Sisters of Battle. I've got a second tank from them on Sunday, Fenrir, and that's going to be the main tank for my Death Watch squad for my Blood Drinkers seconded group. If you look at the Death Watch video, you'll see what I mean. I'll link it down below. So day 1 is Pillars of Faith. Day 3 is Fenrir. Day 2, tomorrow, is the Adepta Sororitas Immolator. One of the coolest looking tanks around. And then on day 4, it's going to be the Raging Heroes High Preacher Almira on War Pulpit, which is just one of the coolest looking walkers I've ever seen. Technically not a tank, but I thought it fitted in with this group of rolling metal. I thought it would be good to have a bit of walking metal in there too. I can't wait to get into these. Tanks are just the coolest thing. They're just the craziest thing as well to have out there. Just a huge armored metal Hulk, and inside are crammed a whole bunch of people just trying to keep the thing going and shooting straight and stop it going on fire. And it's great to see. I've got 3 different brands here over this weekend: Raging Heroes, Warhammer, and Shieldwolf. And it'll be cool to see how well they play against each other, how they look side by side. Anyway, I'll be back soon with the Pillars of Faith unboxing. So let's get into it. So, lots of peanuts. Ooh, wow. This is a lot of resin. Let's get these out of the way. Instructions are in the bag here. Let's have a look at all of this stuff. Oh my word. Okay. So we have our instruction manual here from Shieldwolf Miniatures. We've got, okay. Oh, there's more. There's actually instructions. Okay, I wasn't expecting this. But we've got chassis assembly. And then we've got different variants here. What's that? Transport tank variant. Remote turret assembly. So chassis, track, and then putting them together in the main body, and then different variants, and then sort of an exploded diagram there of the turret going together. And I think this is the one I got, as far as I know, with the dozer blade on the front. I'm pretty sure. I'd have to actually check their website and bring up a couple of images. It's probably what I'll do when I'm building it, just so that I'm doing it right, in case there's just not enough detail in those instructions. But let's have a look at these components. Some thinness here. I'm not sure if that's a removable part. Hopefully you can see that there. You can just see a sort of a thinness in the resin where it's almost sort of see-through. Yeah, you can see it here. You know, I'll not pass judgment on that until I've actually started to put this thing together and see, you know, if there's any weakness there or if it's a removable part. We'll find out. This is incredibly solid. You know this color? This reminds me of Milky Bars. It's like a white chocolate confectionery in the UK. That's what this color reminds me of. It's probably throwing the white balance of my camera off like crazy. But trust me, this is like a... Here's a reference point. So that's white. And this is what the color of this resin is. So there you go. It's not just me. So these are different parts. You can see sort of, sorry for the focus there, rivet details, little vent details. There's sort of chevron back to it. How it connects in. This is going to be quite big. There's the dozer blade. Give you a sense of the size of it. Let me get a predator up here. So here's a predator. Oh no, I suppose it's to scale. No, it just looked big. So that would be out in the front of sort of a, well, this, you know, rhino base. Yep, so that's absolutely spot on. Just looked big. This top cover, and we can start to see some of the detail here. You see some of the Latin, that sort of inscription there at the back. And this chain detail and the hatch at the front. Oh, that's lovely. There's it. Can you hear that squeak? It's a strange texture. It's interesting. Bits of flash and stuff at the front here. It's got a little bit of bend in it. This PVC or this resin. But of course I'll be incredibly careful with it when I'm dealing with the components. But it has got kind of an interesting texture. Almost a sort of a rubbery texture to it. Now we see the lower part of the chassis here with many of the wheels. And we've got the track assembly. Track is, as you can see, mercifully, mostly built. That's lovely. I will never complain about something like that. That's really cool. And then the other side, and then the rest of the top of the tank. You can see the two turret slots here. I like these church window details. It brings it in line with sort of being a Sisters of Battle tank. Have a look at what's all in here. Whoa, lots of tiny components. So I'm going to have to be very careful with that. Okay. Oh, lots of quite thin little pieces there as well. If you can appreciate how thin that bit is in the middle. I just see my finger through the... Yeah. So that's curious. I will be very careful when I'm putting this tank together. Some of the components have the same sort of skin we saw on the Raging Heroes miniatures. But again, I'll just be careful. Take my time with the cleanup. But I like the little chain details and stuff on these, whatever these panels are. And here's the side panels for the tank. And this is where it really shines for me. Just check that out. That is just glorious. There are two of these panels for the sides of the tank. I'd say the first impression is cautious optimism. Parts of this look incredibly strong. Really, we're talking about incredibly thick sections here and components. And then there are also incredibly thin looking ones like this, which are practically see-through. Will it matter? Once I get into the building side of it, I'll understand. I'm going to sit with an image of the tank from their website in front of me while I build, and also I've got that instruction manual as well, this guy here, to give me some guidance. But I will be back soon with the results. It's day one of tank weekend, and this is a very high bar to have set on the first day. It's a heavy tank, and I was not expecting that. I should have got scales out, but I'm reckoning this is a ball predator. I'd say it's double the weight of a ball predator, which is interesting. There's a big chunk of resin here. There's a huge lumps of it inside the actual side parts of the vehicle here. There's just a big lump of resin here. The actual body plate is quite heavy resin. You can see that this, the dozer blade is solid. Everything about it is solid. And what you have here at the end, it's just gorgeous. It got some feedback on Instagram. It was called cheese tank and butter tank because of the color. Because as you can see, this is, for a reference point, this is white. And you can see that sort of yellowy look, the sort of white chocolate look. So cake tank, cheese tank, white chocolate tank, and butter tank. Those are all the names it got on Instagram. But it's very popular on Instagram as well. And absolutely deserved. It looks stunning. So, just as for some explanation to these darker parts, I did add these on. I wanted to just make this a little bit more aggressive looking. I wanted to tie it into my Sisters of Battle army. So as you can see, I've used part of the Battle Sisters kit here, sort of leftover bits, to make this look a little bit more flamboyant. But even without that stuff, it would still look incredible. I mean, look at the sculpting work on the side here with these chains and the Latin around the sides here, which is pretty spectacular looking. You even see the scroll work here on these front plates. There's no shortage of detail in this. The sort of the windows, these little torches and stuff that are burning on the side. Of course, I added some more religious iconography back here to make it more of a ecclesiarchy thing. I got some of the Repentia sisters strapped to the back of this here for doing their penance. Got a hammer here, and then these panels were actually off of a dreadnought, but I thought they fitted the aesthetic of the tank quite well. And while they look like they stand out a bit at the minute, once this is primed, it's all going to look pretty savage together. And then we have I had to cut a Raging Heroes Sister of Eternal Mercy in half to get her that sort of tank commander look going. I thought that worked really well. But even without those extras, this is a stunning bit of kit. So build-wise, I had this manual, and it's fairly straightforward. Up until this point, it's just everything is stock. And you get a rough idea of this back plate and the front plate as to how they should look. And then the back door as well. I think up to here, actually. Sorry, it's stock. And then after this, you get into whatever sort of the turret layout is. Pretty straightforward, really. I mean, it's I did put the first of these front plates on upside down. And that took a little knife work to get that back off because the glue I use sets really quickly. And of course, you're using super glue with this, not plastic cement. So that was a learning experience. What else was a learning experience was that these panels here are solid resin. Very heavy. Actually make up probably most of the weight of this miniature, it seems, or this tank. And that they slot into the inside part of this, the side panel of the tank. It did not fit. I made a really just schoolboy error with it. None of them, I did 2 of these tanks, which means I had 4 of those in total, and not one of them fitted cleanly. It needed a lot of work with the knife to get it to fit. The first one, though, that I put in, I thought it was a snug fit, so I glued it, and when I popped it in, it locked down tight, And I spent, I'd say, the next hour and a half getting it back out of there. And I ended up having to do some sort of hacking at it with my clippers, my knife. It was tough to get that back out again. And really, it's my own fault. I should have checked the fit. But it was way off. The second one, I learned from it, and I was able to sort of clip away the pieces to give it that, and to dry fit it as well before I'd applied any glue, and it gave me a much, much better experience. And by the third and the fourth of those that I did for the other tank, it was fine. I just immediately started with that work, cutting away all of the excess, dry fitting it, perfect, glued it, no bother at all. So that it was just that very first one that cost me sort of an hour and a half of my life. But the end result is just worth that pain. And once you realize that you've got to do that, once you realize that the panel that's inside this, that heavy block, just dry fit it. If it fits, great, glue it in. If not, do the work before you touch any glue with it. And that'll save you some heartache. And I think that the Latin that they have around this pretty much means if there's no path, then make one. And you could certainly make a path with a blade like this. I like the pre-sculpted detail here in the chevrons to make it easy to paint. And the detail across the entire miniature is flawless. I didn't really notice much in the way of bubbling or anything like that. There was minimal cleanup to this mini. And apart from what I just talked about with the miscasting of the inside of this panel, that's just a thing that needs to be dealt with. But the actual mold lines and everything like that, very minimal. This is a tank that will give you an incredible presence on the battlefield. It'll make your army really just pop, especially if you apply this to like a, Adepta Sororitas army. This is going to just look fantastic alongside that. Scale-wise, you can see it right beside the Predator here. It lines up nicely. Maybe slightly larger, but not so bad. It just kind of looks like, a heavy earth-moving version, whereas this is probably more of a battle tank. But they line up quite well. It is slightly chunkier looking, but I guess that's the dozer blade on the front. If I put that in the front of the Predator, it would look awesome. But it would also make it look a bit meatier as well. But I absolutely love it. For sure, I went through a little bit of pain while I was putting it together. But when I look at this tank, I know that 6 months down the line, it's not even going to occur to me that I had the issues with having to trim off the resin and stuff to get those pieces to fit inside. It won't matter because I will be looking at an amazing tank, like an awesome piece of serious hardware. In a few months' time, this is going to be at the heart of an Adepta Sororitas army, and it's just going to look incredible there. So Shieldwolf are based out in Greece. We had some issues with postage time just due to COVID, to them having a reduced size team. And if they'd not let me know about that stuff, that would have been a problem. But they were incredibly communicative. They were really open with what was going on. And at all times, I knew where we were in the process. And I speak highly of Shieldwolf Miniatures, not just because of their communication style, but also because of the quality of the product here. This is about the third thing I've reviewed from Shieldwolf Miniatures. Like there was Sisters of Talarium, Mountain Orc Infantry. I may be missing something else, but now we have the Pillar of Faith from their sci-fi range. And while it's a slightly more expensive tank than like an average sort of Predator or something from Warhammer, it is worth every penny. It is absolutely a marquee piece. And it gave me a great canvas to add my own personal touches to it from my bits box. And we have a representation here from Shieldwolf, from Warhammer, and from Raging Heroes. So a nice sort of meeting of brands here in this phenomenal tank. But that's it for today. Tomorrow I will be back with day 2 of Tank Weekend, and it's the Adepta Sororitas Immolator from Warhammer. Like, share, subscribe, and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.